Ken Zolodek, and my mom is Doris Owens. I am Edward Owens Passage, and my mom, Burl Margaret Owens, behind to the WASP.
Hi, I'm Sheldon Hodson. This is my mother, Marion Hodson. If you know me, raise your hand. Okay, I may win the best family gathering.
Hang on, wait till the music's come up.
Hi, I'm Bill Holman Hughes, and this is my mother, Doris Duran Muse, and I think we have 30 of us here.
I'm Jerry Young, I'm Pat Pollock Young's son, and we have 13 here.
But we're louder.
But they're louder. They're more obnoxious.
Yeah, volume always counts. So I love that you guys have brought family members here to share the stories. And again, like we've been talking about, this museum is about the stories and the legacy of the WASP. So everyone who is here now has a responsibility to take that story out and share it so that families like the great nephew of Hazel can get the rest of the story. So one of the things here we're at, one of the constant themes, and we all talked ahead of time, was how your moms lit up when they came to reunions like this. And I think, Jerry, you said your mom was all smiles at the 50-year reunion in Sweetwater. And Ken, you said Doris brightened up at Reno. And then, Bill, you were saying your mom didn't even talk about the WASP until 1977. So as we are here, kind of reflecting and having this homecoming reunion of sorts, what do you think it is about these kind of gatherings and putting people together that resonated so well with your mom? And since you've got the mic, Jerry, we're going to let you start.
Well, I think part of that is just, that's what pilots do. Pilots have a spirit of adventure, but there's also a camaraderie, because you eat, breathe, sleep, and bleed together as pilots on the mission. And so when they all get back together, they're glad to see each other and they really party hardy. So a little bit about 1993, that was their 50-year reunion. And I had agreed to drive my mother down there because she was getting elderly. She was 73. I'm 4 years older than that now. But I drove her down here, and I'm telling you, it was magical. It was just like, oh my God, all these ladies in their 70s were just beaming with smiles. So I driven all day with her to get her down, and so they started partying that night. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was out of gas. And I said, Mom, I think I'm going to go ahead and head back to the room. She said, you go ahead back to the room. I'm going to hang out here with the gals for a while. That was 1 in the morning, and she came in like 2:33. And in that room, and many of you have heard of Dot Swain. She was one of the, they were all great. She's the one that designed the sculpture of the WASP walking. She did art, she played the guitar, she sang, and she also instructed in flying. But the thing was, here's this VIP room or guest room or whatever you call it, suite. They have got liquor lined up like I hadn't seen since pilot days. And Dot Swain's playing the guitar. And they're singing Zoot Suits Parachutes as loud as they can. And it was heartwarming.
Similar story. My mom never really spoke much about the WASP. I mean, she mentioned it, we all knew about it, but in those days, not many people had ever heard of the WASPs. And she'd only tell us a couple of stories now and then, but when she started attending reunions, it really changed and became a huge focal point in her life. She was very, very proud of the organization of the women and what they had accomplished. And I went to a reunion on the Queen Mary in the Spruce Goose, and the same thing happened. It's cocktail hour, and the guy who's setting up the bar was going, what is all this liquor for? And about halfway through, he had to go send out for some more. But the feeling of the WASP, it gave her, meant a whole lot to her towards the end of her life. It really defined who she was at that point. So, and our whole family was so excited to see her involved in all the reunions and going to the memorial dedication in Washington, D.C. So So we're so proud to be here today, participating in this and dedicating our ashes here.
Well, yeah, I was going to say also, so Pat and Doris both had their ashes just spread at 11:30, so those are, again, final resting place here at Avenger Field where they trained and where they created their legacy. So Sheldon, Ed, or Ken, do you have any stories about your mom and coming to the reunions and what that meant to them? Because I've got a bunch of questions, and I'm happy to pepper you with more.
I don't have any experience with Mom at a reunion. She reunited with two of her best friends who were mates in whatever you call the cabin that they had. And there's some stories up here when Shirley Slade, who was the cover of Life, she's written an interesting story about that. And also Sandy, I can't remember Sandy's last name. But she was one of the people that was trained on the bombers, and really funny story about that.
Well, what? Hang on, what's the funny story?
What's the funny story? Okay.
I don't. They do.
Okay, so Sandy, you're not going to help me with her name, huh? Okay. So she was one of the, 17 women who went up to Kansas to learn how to fly a bomber. I don't know, it was a B-17 or what. Anyway, so they were in the ready room and they were waiting for their instructor to come in. And the instructor apparently had not been told that he had a class of women. So the instructor walks in the door and sees a class of women. And he's just astonished, and he says, I'll be damned if I'm going to fly with a bunch of goddamn women. Walked out the door, slammed it, and Shirley said, I'm going to get even with that SOB if it's the last thing I do. And she did. They were married for 60 years.
I apologize, we forgot to put the E explicit on this. So I'm going to use it as a jumping point, first of all. So on that Life magazine that she signed, who did she address it to? Sorry, to whom did she address it?
Okay. She addressed this note to Scarlett.
Okay, so we all know, I'm going to hold on there, but I'm going to have you pass the mic back here. So we all know about call signs, yes? Okay, and you got to earn them, and we'll go back to you in a second. But I want you to talk about your mom's nickname.
My mom's nickname, what my dad calls my mom all of my life, was Mo, Mo. Like the Mo here. But she was Mo because the call signs are usually your first initial of your first name and your last name. It was Burl Marjorie Owens, so her call sign should have been M.O.
Beal. Right?
Excuse me, B.O. for Burl Marjorie Owens. And she didn't want to be B.O., so she decided to go be M.O. So her call sign was M.O. And so my mom and dad met in flight shoulder stations on the radio, and her call sign was Mo, so she was known by my dad as Mo.
So, I have a favorite right now. All right, and then back to you. So, Sheldon, why was it Scarlett?
Well, Mom was from Athens, Georgia, the old South, and Gone with the Wind was the movie, and most of the women that Mom flew with were from the north. They weren't from she was one of the few from the old South. So anyway, that's why, because she was old South, and it was just a lady from the old South. That's all I can say.
And frankly, she didn't give a damn. All right, we're not going to leave you, Ken. Anything you want to share about your mom, like coming to the
Well, I was
or piggybacking
going
on
to what
somebody
Jerry
else.
was talking about, going to the reunion. I went to the reunion in Reno in '73, and I actually surprised Mom and Dad in Vegas and Motor Tree. And when I walked in with them, we were all squadron in the Air Force, so you had an idea what a squadron was like, which is generally all men. And I walked in there, it was just fascinating how close it was to them. All those guys were exactly the same. That's what really just fascinated me on that reunion.
Like what aspects were all the same?
Well,
I know you're not
they
talking biologically.
Well,
I got that.
as you well know, it runs the gamut of personalities. There's
Yeah.
the ones that are, louder, I guess you can call them, and then the quiet ones that are just a whole different process. I was going, I can't believe this. It was like what I've seen on my, when I went. So That was a fascinating thing.
So this is gonna be a speed round, hang on to it real quick. So this is kind of a chicken or egg kind of question. Do you think the WASP, for, you know, like that experience, crafted your mom into the woman she became, or was the woman she became why she was so attracted to the WASP, the chicken or the egg?
That's because she was attracted to WASP.
Okay, so it was
They
the
were all- I think
personality in the
To
WASP.
me, they were all that way.
Yeah, okay, well, let's see now.
I believe that she was a woman that way, and she was attracted to the WASP, because she was already that way. She was a
So far, the
strong
WASP are not
woman.
being blamed for corrupting any women. I just wanna make sure. All right, Sheldon, did the WASP turn your mom into this phenom, or was she already that?
She, as I said at breakfast, she was overcoming her shame, so the WASP helped her solidify that. And she became proud and loved flying. So, yes, the WASP.
Okay.
Washington.
Batting 1,000? Is that it?
Yeah. For my mom, it was definitely just a chance to fly. She loved flying, and when she applied for the WASP, she hadn't even known who they were. She came at a time to learn to fly, and someone told her about the WASP. So yeah, it was definitely her love of flying.
Yeah, I think the WASP experience gave her that feeling that I can do things, I can be independent, So, did it create it? No, I think it cultured a natural instinct to be independent and do things on her own, and that just fortified it and verified it for her, and it turned out great for her. And a little bit farther, and it's probably you guys too. So they get up in their 80s and 90s, and they decide they want to drive cross country, and they just get in a car and drive across. And they aren't worried about anything. We worry the whole way across because you don't know who they're going to run into, so to speak. But yeah, seriously, my mom was doing solo cross country in a car at 90 years old. I mean, I'm in Kansas, need to go to New Jersey. Boom. You know, it's like, Mom, you ought to have a co-pilot half your age.
Okay, so that actually nicely segues into my next question. What was the most WASP thing your moms did that did not have to do with the military or flying?
Driving solo cross country.
There it is. There it is. Bill, what do you got?
That's tough. No, she was, right up until the end, she was, very independent, did her own thing, go swim, work out, drive her car. She was, the independence, I think, was part of what she was all about, and certainly was part of the WASP mentality.
Okay. Sheldon, what's the most WASP thing your mom did that didn't have anything to do with military or flying?
Well, she applied to the International Order of Characters because she was a character. And WASP were characters. They were all very unique, and one of her characteristics was at home, instead of your normal dog, we had a 400-pound pig. And she was seen on the evening news more than once, walking the pig around the block on a leash, and training the pig how to give himself a shower. We also had goats, or a goat, and other pets like that. But she was pretty unusual, let's just say that.
WASP or your mom?
WASP were unusual.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to skip you, Ed, and you know why. All right, what is the most WASP thing your mom did that had nothing to do with flying?
Well, I think it's because, like a lot of them, just independent. They did what they wanted to do.
Give me an example of her independence.
Well, I can't even, she had one friend and they played bridge. They were probably the meanest bridge players in the whole country. That's just because of who they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is my favorite story. Ed, what's the most WASP thing your mom
Well, my
did?
mom obeyed the rules, knew the rules, and she only got one speeding ticket in her life. And because in our little village of Corrales by Albuquerque, we had canals. It was a farming village, and these canals sometimes crossed the road, and there was a bump in the road. And so one day she decided she would go over that bump really fast, so that coming down she could get that -G. But she was in the air, so she really wanted that sensation again. And on the other side of the bump of the little hill was a cop, and she got a speeding ticket. She said, "I'll pay the ticket."
I love that. I absolutely love that. I talked to one of you was talking about your mom's hairs in curlers while going boating. Yeah, Sheldon, let's share that story. I think that's important too.
That was the story. She was
Don't
going.
give away the punchline. Oh my God.
She was going to a party on a Saturday night, and but we had a boat, and she wanted to go skiing with us. So she put her hair up in curlers so she'd be ready to go to the party, and we went skiing. Unfortunately, she took a bad spill, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I ruined my hair. How am I going to get to the party now?" So, I don't know how she got there, but that's the kind of thing she would do.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you hold on to that one right now. Here's the next question. So you've got these displays behind you, and thank you so much for donating these to the museum, these artifacts and these pictures and their license. So we'll start with you, Sheldon. But what is one artifact that's on display either behind you or here that tells a story most people don't know about your mom? I like how you guys are all now checking what's behind you.
Well, certainly the wings are a story. Mom wrote this book, Winning My Wings, and that was her thing. But really, the artifact is this one right behind me, this honorable discharge.
Okay.
You might think, why would an honorable discharge be the most important artifact? And it's because the government finally recognized them as military, and their service got to count as military. And that's the one that she said, and I really never understood what she was talking about when she told me that how much this meant. And until I was actually doing research for this project and found out what kind of a battle the WASP and the other women who wanted to fly military aircraft had to do to get through Congress the bill that allowed them to do it. And that, they uncovered the records and opened them up, and that's when the bill passed that allowed this to happen. So that was her most favorite.
And you're going to pass the mic to your left over there to Bill, but I think that's an important point to kind of stop on. We look at these pictures, we read these captions, we see these artifacts, but make sure we take the time to realize that there's more than just that paper. There's a story behind that. So I appreciate you sharing that because, okay, it's an honorable discharge, but there's so much more to that because it was a long time coming, a long time overdue, and that's the significance of it. So I appreciate that. All right, Bill, same question. What's the artifact that tells a story we need to hear about your mom?
It's her flight log that's in the case there. Going through that and looking at the different planes that she flew and seeing the hours that she logged, it's kind of a history of her experience there in the WASPs. And it's interesting to see how many different planes they flew in a short period of time. It was quite a remarkable group of women. But also, trying to map some of the stories, the anecdotes that she told us to the time frame in the flight log and sort of see, oh, that's exactly when it happened. That was this great memory.
So aside from the number of different aircraft she flew, is there anything else that was surprising in her flight log to you, like that kind of revealed something about your mom that you didn't realize or think about?
No, it was pretty terse. I mean, that was my mom's style. So it was just simple, straightforward, just the facts kind of a thing.
Just the facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts. Awesome. Gary, what artifact is going to tell us something about your mom that we don't already know?
Well, I'm cheating. I've got two of them here, really. But I'll talk quickly. The first one is her on the wing of the PT-19 here at Avenger Field. I keep that photo on my phone and in our home. And everybody that comes to our home is wowed by that picture. It's an inspiration to young people. And then over here is honored guest, Memorial Day weekend, Columbia, Missouri, 2006. But I would say this, for most WASP, after about 95 or 2000, that's when they really started getting recognized. They started getting invited to be VIPs at air shows. And each air show would try to have a VIP of a WASP and an astronaut and all that. And that's when our mom became friends with Buzz Aldrin. Going, Mom, it's Buzz Aldrin. She went, yeah. we're talking about airplanes. But
As one does with
Yeah.
your mom and an astronaut, yes.
yeah, so that picture, I think, reflects a lot of the WASP in their later years and the recognition they got, which was really good. And it's neat to see girls lined up to get your mom's autograph when you go, you know, she used to switch me.
So I definitely want to come back to that, Jerry, about the legacy and the impact. Oops, excuse me. All right, I want to hear about the artifact back here that's going to tell us something about Momo.
For the 50th anniversary, my mom had a dress blue uniform made for her and her new figure. And she was very proud of that because that to her signified that she was accepted as military. And she said she would have liked the help with college tuition, but in the end she was able to be buried in the military cemetery. So I think that was the thing that she liked, appreciated the most, that being able to have a dress blue military uniform and wear it at the SMU.
All right, Ken, what's the artifact behind this?
Well, this is for all the WASPs, actually. This one right here, these 6 gals are the ones that went down and they became Oklahoma Hall of Fame, Oklahoma Aviation Hall of Fame,
Oh, nice.
inducted the WASPs, all of them, into the Oklahoma Aviation Hall of Fame. So they're all part of it.
Yeah.
Not
So
just
what does that mean to you, and what does it mean to your mom to have that recognition?
Well, they were pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
Now, it was a big deal,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, the governor was there. It was a big banquet, the whole thing.
Was Buzz Aldrin, because Jerry's
No,
got
Buzz wasn't there. We didn't have any astronauts there, so it was pretty cool.
No, I love that. So we're going to work our way all the way back to Jerry, but I want to talk about legacy and impact. So growing up, your mom is giving you the switch and, you know, just doing mom things. Did you know what your mom had done? Did she talk about it? It was kind of like, you know, my mom is kick-ass. Or is it like my mom switches me?
Yeah.
Like, what was it like having, how did that like kind of affect your life going forward?
I probably didn't even know about it till, I mean, I kind of had an idea, but really and truly what they did until we were 20 at least or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, when I went in the Air Force, they were, you know, she didn't really, that wasn't her thing, but my dad was pretty happy about that. But she was fine with that. But,
So you going into the Air Force, was that because of your mom, or did you
no,
want
I
that?
just drifted that direction. It was
Okay.
probably because of that, yeah.
Okay, all right, so there's some legacy and impact
Yeah, a
there,
little
yeah?
bit,
Okay,
yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So moms, make sure that you are being very directive about all the cool things that you have done so your kids can follow in your path.
That's true.
Yeah, all right. Legacy and impact of your mom.
Well, that's kind of a hard question, but
I know, I asked the really tough ones.
I believe that my mom taught me to do the right thing and keep your word. And if it's something really hard to do, then it has more worth. So just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It means it's worth doing even more. So you know, keep your nose to the grindstone and do what you're supposed to do, and honest and truthful, those kinds of things. All of the things that I think that we all should strive for.
Unless you're trying to get negative G's in your car.
So my dad was a military pilot, Marine, and so mom's a WASP, so I'm a child of two pilots. So naturally, and we used to fly to California and Georgia because that's where our relatives were every year. So, well, I know from one story my mom wrote, I stood on my head all the way to California from Texas on the airplane. I was only 4, but anyway, I got the switch too. Now we'd all be under the jail for doing that. I guess really the love of flying.
Okay.
I became a private pilot at age 19, I think.
Nice.
Mom said she beat me by 1 year. And anyway, and then I went on to fly an ultralight. A picture up here. It was a flying boat around Lake Conroe, and Mom went up with me. And I don't know, 85 or something like that. Crazy.
Well, my mom's love of flying, she tried to get us interested. When I was 13 and my younger brother was 11, There was a pilot flying a Stearman out of the local airfield for the county fair, and she took us down and put us in the cockpit. We went up for a ride. That was the first time in an airplane, and we were in this little open cockpit biplane. And yeah, I could see why she loved flying so much. I mean, it made a lasting impact on me. And later in life, I actually started to fly, but didn't finish. My partner crashed the airplane, so we
That
had to
is
stop.
frowned upon in aviation.
Yeah, not so good. But yeah, there was always that love of flying, and when she talked about it, it was a totally different person talking about what it was like to fly, and she got kind of dreamy-eyed, remembering. But yeah, I think that's the biggest impact for me.
Jerry?
Yeah, I'd say our mother had a pretty profound legacy that she never thought about or never thought she was consciously doing it. But my older brother was in Naval Air at Olathe, with the Navy Reserves and Naval Air. I went full-time active duty. I had a second brother that was enlisted in the Air Force, and then another second brother, or younger brother, that was in the Topeka Air National Guard. So all four of us boys ended up in some aviation-related thing. And of course, I was the one that had the bug and used to ask her about flying. When I was in 8th grade, I wrote a term paper on lift and drag and all that stuff. She helped me with that, and that really fired me up. So when I was fortunate enough to become an Air Force pilot, going through our career, what legacy did she have? Well, we're at Laughlin Air Force Base. Our daughter's home from college, and she starts dating one of the students, and now he's our son-in-law. So 3 generations of flying.
I love it, I love it. You can hang on to that one. So we're gonna start down there. As we all know, the WASP experience wasn't all this positive and great, pie in the sky, unicorns and rainbows. There were a lot of rejection, chauvinism, failures, the hard parts. Did your mom talk about the hard parts, and/or how did they deal with the difficult parts?
What comes to mind for me is it was after she was out of the WASP program but still flying. She gets married, she gets pregnant, and the doctor says, "You shouldn't fly anymore now that you're pregnant," and that stopped her flying. And then, of course, she was raising kids, but that mentality, you're pregnant, you can't fly, that really got to her. And again, she didn't fly for years because she was busy raising kids, but then when she became a VIP, she was getting VIP rides in about every kind of airplane. She flew in one of the B-17s from Boulder back to Kansas City. "Hey, you want to ride?" "Sure." They hop on, that's what it was. But that hurt her for a long time that they stopped her because she was pregnant.
Was there anything she talked about as far as how to overcome, not how to overcome pregnancy? It's not a biology class. But like what are the parallels of dealing with something when you're told no for different reasons? How did she deal with that or overcome that?
Well, I'll pass that one when I think about that one, because she was just always an inspiration that, you can do it. Hey, if you want to do it. Well, I will say something about that. When we were here in '93 for the 50-year reunion, the Abilene newspaper came out and did an interview with us kids of WASP. Some of you might have been here for that. And they did an article. It was called "Their Mom Was Not June Cleaver."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you're old enough to appreciate Leave It to Beaver. And that was the thing. It was hey, if you want it, you gotta go get it. I think all of our moms did that. If I got up in the morning and said, "What's for breakfast?" she'd say, "The Wheaties are on the table." And if I said, "I want eggs," she'd say, "The frying pan's on the stove and the eggs are in the refrigerator." So
And Sheldon's mom has a pig, so.
Yeah, if you want it. Yeah, Nike wasn't the first to say, "Just do it. Just get out there and get her done."
Nice. How'd your mom deal with the hard parts?
I never heard of any hard parts. In fact, I actually asked her more than once about, did she face any chauvinism or anything like that? And she said just the opposite. Her experiences were all positive. Her instructors had been supportive, and the air crews that she worked with had always been super positive. And she even told a couple of stories of flying into other bases, and the base commander would invite her and the other WASPs to dinner, and so her experience was, as she told it to me, was always very positive. she didn't ever have a story of it that was negative.
And again, we kind of talked about this at the brunch too. I think that's an important part of the WASP story, is we talk about how they overcome adversity and all the troubles they went through, but there were a lot of allies and a lot of people who were supportive and did help them, and they were on their side. And I think that's an important part of the story too. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. They might have been skeptical about them or standoffish or what at first, but once they got to know them and saw how capable they always seemed to be well accepted.
That's awesome. Sheldon, how did your mom overcome any hard parts?
Well, I can remember one story that she wrote about, that she was having to ferry the Norden bomb site, which was top secret at the time. And, in fact, the plane she was on had a button on it that says, you know, if you're down over enemy territory, push this button. She always wanted to push the button. She didn't, thank goodness. But anyway, so she's also required to carry a sidearm and post a guard at the plane. So she got out. She'd been in a rough ride, long ride, bad weather, all this. And this military police stopped her, and so she's dressed as an officer and got lipstick on. And so this guy's going, you know, he's challenging her. Who are you? You know, so normally she said she could show her ID and be passed along, but this guy, who wasn't as tall as she was, Mom was about 5'10", and he was really giving her a hard time about it. And she finally had enough, and he said something, and she said, "Say sir when you address me." "Yes, sir." So a little bit of chauvinism, but she turned around. But you know, she did a lot of speaking when she was on a speaking circuit and all this, trying to sell her book and stuff. But she was always asked that question, and she said, "We weren't fighting for our rights; we were fighting for our country."
Nice.
I've got a one story about chauvinism that my mom told me, but first I want to say that in 1994, the Smithsonian sent a person around and interviewed my mom, and I got that interview and then overlaid onto some photos of her, and I put it on a flash drive, and here they are. So I got 4 of them. So first come, first serve. Whoever wants it, there's 4. So you can have that PowerPoint presentation. So anyway, the story that my mom told about chauvinism, she had close to the end of the war, she had a job to ferry a plane to Florida. And so she came in, she got in late at night around 10, went to the CO's office, nobody was there, so she slept on the couch. In the morning she got up, he came in and she reported and said, "I just flew this plane in from Texas, I need some kind of a flight back." And he said, yesterday they disbanded the WASP. You're a civilian, get off the base, and pointed at the front gate. And the front gate's that way, so she had to walk to the front gate, find a payphone, call her mom for some money to get a bus ride back. But she said, that's the only time I was treated that way, and she said it was such a wonderful experience. In fact, one of the things she said during the Smithsonian interview was that she's embarrassed because it was a world war and it was the worst thing that could happen to us, but she had the most wonderful, fantastic, fun time of her life as a WASP. So anyway, she said that was the least problem she had of having to ride a bus home.
It's crazy.
Well, you probably did too when you got graduated from pilot training.
I did not sleep on the CEO's couch, no.
No. Commercial and instrument ticket, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, all the men back then, when they finished with their deal, they got a commercial instrument ticket. The WASP didn't. They would refuse to give them any. They said, if you want your commercial instrument ticket, you gotta take all the tests and all this stuff. Gotta put her off.
Yeah. How did she deal with that?
That was fine. She's never mad about it, because she should have had that, because she had done everything that so.
Well, I appreciate I'm seeing like a consistent theme of there's this, I wouldn't call it acceptance, but it's like, okay, that's how it's gonna be, hold my beer, I'm gonna do the thing, and I appreciate that resilience and that persistence, and not looking at all the down negative parts of it, right? It's like I had the opportunity to fly, so I'm just gonna go out, find a payphone, get a bus ride and everything like that. I had the opportunity to do these things, so I appreciate that. So I'm gonna ask these gentlemen one more question, then we're gonna open it up for you all, so you can start thinking of your questions. You cannot ask a question I have already asked, okay? That's cheating. So
you didn't tell us in advance we had to ask.
I know, I just pivoted. You know, flexibility, key to air power. Look, we got power, man. It's all. All the electricity's gone to my head. So, if your moms were standing here right now, what do you think she would want people to know about the WASP that isn't already here or in history books? What would your mom want all of us to know about the WASP? The program, her role in it,
They did it.
that they did it. Okay? Yep, that's awesome.
What that kind of pops into my mind would be that she would say that she wished more women had that opportunity. Just the very few that did.
Do you, sorry, cutting you off. Do you think that she realized that by doing what she was doing, she was creating opportunities for more, like thinking, generations ahead?
Well, I think in later years she realized that, but when she was doing it, I don't think she thought, I'm doing this for a few generations.
Sure, okay.
She realized that after the fact.
Gotcha.
Just back on the chauvinism thing, I remember she used to, because that was always a question, and the other WASP will ask that as well. And I think their attitude seemed to be, we're the luckiest girls in the world
Yep.
to fly all these aircraft. And that's what, that was very important, and they would do anything, they would do that. What was your question?
Oh, what do you think, if your mom was here right now, what would she want us to know about the WASP?
I think the attitude, she had a feeling about how together the country was at that time. There was a spirit of unity that she just thought was marvelous. And as our country became more and more divided, she would say that more often, how she wished that could be rekindled. So if she was here right now, that would be the same thing she would say.
Yep.
Unity.
Bill?
I think my mom would say, follow your dreams, follow your passion, don't let anything stop you. It doesn't matter what people think or what they say. You really love it. You really love it. Go for it.
Love that.
Again, I would probably say two things. First of all,
I'm noticing that theme.
Yeah.
Typical instructor pilot, right?
Yeah, but it's not a military briefing, it'll be 3 points.
No, I know. Tell them what you're going to tell them, say it, and then tell them what you told them.
I think, first of all, what my mother didn't realize at the time, and most of them realized later, was the camaraderie they got out of that short period of time. Whether they were there for the whole 18 months or so, or for only 3 months. 55 years later, they were still getting together to do things, see things, experience things. So that was pretty amazing to her that she didn't realize at the time. I think the other thing is, and again, because I was an instructor and saw a lot of female pilots come through and do well, and many of them, that was heartwarming to my mother. She knew they were the trailblazers. But in the 90s, it was commonplace, it was just bring it on. And that was heartwarming to her. And I think it was for all the WASPs, that they were a select group. Yeah, they had some problems, and we still have some problems today. But they didn't bat an eye, they leaned forward, and today we have a great force of female pilots.
Yeah, I love that. All right, now it's your turn. This is a chance to the Muse family and Sheldon's family to ask questions about grandma and mom and put your dad on the spot, your brother on the spot. What questions you guys have? Yes. We'll go in the 3rd or 4th row. Jerry has been asked to tell the story about. Come on up here. All right, come up here and do push-ups then. What do you want me to say?
Okay, Anne was a WASP. You married her. When her baby was born, I don't need that. So anyway, when her baby was born, her husband looked at her and said, remember this, I am the only pilot in this family. Her son never knew that she was a pilot until his dad was dead. Think about it.
Again, share your stories, brag about your successes. Wow. We had one up here, right? And then in the back. You had to raise your hand, yeah? And also, tell us who you are and how you're connected, please.
Oh, wow.
All right. You're good. I'm Parker, and I'm related to this guy right here.
Okay, we're just gonna point at Sheldon. How are you related to Sheldon?
I'm not exactly sure the right wording.
Mom's grandma.
Mom's grandma. Yes.
Mom's grandma.
Let's bypass Sheldon. How are you related to Marion?
She is my great grandmother.
See, that was easy. Perfect. All right, go ahead.
All right. So my question is that did she ever like spark an interest for you to try joining the military, or have you always been like, I'm never gonna do that?
I don't have a mic. How am I going to talk?
Oh, hang on. Parker is releasing it. There we go.
Yeah, in fact, my goal was to become an airline pilot, go through the military and be a goal. And when I was in high school, the Vietnam War broke out. And then I went to college. I did a thesis on the Vietnam War, the history work on it, on Vietnam, I should say. And I didn't really want to go there. I wanted to go to college, and but so I got a 2S deferment because I went to college, and when I got home one summer, my draft card said 1A. And I'm going, what? I'm supposed to have a 2S deferment. But anyway, the draft board said, well, since you're number 185, we're only drafting up to 183, so you're home free. But anyway, I decided that, you're likely to become a helicopter pilot, and their lifespan wasn't that long, so I just decided, you know what, I'll do something else. I'll just keep graduate from college and take another career. So I never got to do that. I never got to be the airline pilot, but that was my goal, but it ended up fine.
All right. We had a question back here. Oh, we're making Katie work. I love it. Look how she runs in front of the PE teacher. Noted. Get your knees up, Katie. Marching band.
I'm Sage. Doris was my grandmother. Oh, sorry, Doris Muse was my grandmother. Yeah, we called her Grandma D, so to me she's always Grandma D. But my question was both for my dad and for the other Doris family member, or it could be for any of them, I guess. But for the women who, served and then got sent home after the war, and they were disbanded, and then didn't really talk about it to a great extent, or maybe not at all. Do you think that was part of the larger narrative that happened to women who all were working during the war when the men were away, and they all came back and were housewives, or a lot of them were housewives? Was that because it was expected, or was that more like a personality trait?
Good question. Well, Katie runs up in front of the PE teacher with the mic. We go to the first Doris son. Nice job. So again, the question is, they didn't talk about the war much. So, we're gonna go here first and then to Bill, something like that. Yep. Was it that her personality, or was it the expectation of that kind of the times? Did I recap that well? That's unusual that I did that. So okay.
Well, I think it's more or less the times, but it was just the way it was. They were in 44. Goodbye. That's it. And they went home and became housewives and did what they did.
Do you think it was because, I'm gonna tag on to your question, Sage. Do you think it was because they weren't recognized in the country, treated like what they did as no big deal, that maybe they didn't realize it was a big deal?
Well, nobody knew really.
No, but like her personally.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean,
you don't have to say I'm right just because.
Well, no. Well, my dad flew too. They were both
right,
at the same time, so it was just okay. We're gonna go home and Field Bill of Fare.
Just on to the next thing.
Yeah, and just, you know, I don't know how you do when you came out of the Air Force.
I'm doing this now, look at
Well,
me.
I know, of course, I went with them, but the other end of it is, I know when my last day of flying the gun, I walked away and said, you missed it 5 minutes ago, I think about it.
Yeah,
It's over with.
on to the next thing.
We'll do something else.
Interesting, okay. And we're gonna go to the other doors over there to Bill.
Well, for my mom, I think it all changed because while she was ferrying pilots in Independent, Kansas, a young lieutenant B-17 instructor was riding in her plane and kept insisting on riding in her plane, and they ended up getting married. And by the time the WASPs were being decommissioned, she was pregnant with my older brother, who was born
Way to represent.
the week before, the week after BJ. But so yeah, her life took a left turn, an unexpected left turn. She'd been in college at pre-med before she quit school to go fly. And she talked about that a lot, and I suspected that she hadn't been married and having babies, that she probably would have gone back to school and been a doctor. But you know, life has a funny way of messing with your plans sometimes.
Man plans, God laughs. Do you guys want to weigh in also, like whether or not, why do you think it was that your moms didn't really share about the kick-ass things that they did?
Oh, okay. I'm answering a different question.
Excellent. What question are you answering?
Did they feel like they wanted to pursue an aviation career after they were disbanded, or did they just got disbanded and say, well, let's just go get married and start a family? And the answer to that question is, thank you for asking.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I love the way I phrased that.
She fell in love with this neighbor. He was a Marine pilot, 8 years younger than her, from Athens, Georgia.
Older.
8 years older. I'm sorry, 8 years older. And
I was going to correct you, but since it was my question, I felt like that was rude.
8 years older, who didn't see her that often, but they were friends. You can imagine 8 years apart. And then he came home to a family dinner one night and noticed she had changed. She had grown up. And so he later on, while she was a WASP, crashed and wasn't expected to live. And she wrote letters. And this romance occurred via the letters and a few dates. And she wanted to marry him. He finally, well, if you read the book, you wouldn't think they'd ever get married, but that's another story. But they ended up, they wanted to get married, but Mom did not want to be married and continue as a WASP. But because there's a lot of temptation out there, too many men to fall in love with. She was
preach, brother, preach. I have a wife, just so we know where that
is. She felt an obligation to finish her tour, and so when the rumors of the breakup of the disbanding of the WASP came along, she was saying, okay, I have met my obligation. We're going to be disbanded. I'm just going to leave and get married. And so that's what she wanted to do, was get married, start a family. And so it worked out perfectly for her, but she wouldn't give for that experience.
So just to recap, your mom's neighbor, who was a friend, had an aircraft accident, was not expected to live. So your mom became pen pals with him, and then he did live, obviously.
Yes, exactly right.
Just checking.
Exactly right. In fact, the surgeon, the pedal went through his ankle and destroyed it. And so the surgeon, later on, when he was having a year later, when he had major problems with his ankle, said, I would have done a lot better job if I thought you were going to live. So,
are there any doctors, I don't know how the Hippocratic Oath works, but that do no harm thing means do the best job you can regardless of what.
The good news is they redid the surgery and he lived happily ever after.
And wait, so the man who was unexpected to live is your father, yes?
Yes.
So, yes, he lives. Did you have a question? Or are you just standing because do we have anyone? Yes? Oh, the son-in-law. It's the son-in-law.
Howdy, I'm Paul Heitmeyer, and Jerry's my father-in-law. And So he was my instructor when I went through pilot training. We had the joy of flying together a couple times, and there's some hilarious stories about that, but that's not my question. My question is for all of you, including you, sir. When you flew with your mom, whether in a private airplane, in your ultralight, or in an airliner, what's a funny or interesting thing you guys talked about or experienced?
That's a good question. Paul will be moderating next year's Lost in the Spotlight panel.
Well, I didn't fly in the plane with her. This was one time when we had Mom out and we were, I forget where we were, but we had an opportunity. I rented 2 BT-17 open cockpit planes to get her a ride in one. I had my video camera in the other to get pictures of her in the plane. And I told the guy, yeah, let's do all this acro and all this stuff. We fly for about an hour and I get as much as I can and we land. And I said, well, what'd you think about it? He said, well, he didn't do as much as I wanted him to. Yeah, come on, pull some G's, you know? So that was probably that surprised me. Because, I mean, I've got video of us doing a loop, and that wasn't enough for her. She wanted to do cloverleaf, she wanted to do Cuban 8, you know.
Love it, love it.
Well, both my parents were pilots, and ironically, I never flew in a plane, private or commercial, anything, with either of them. We just never worked out that way. And after the war, neither of them flew again as pilots. So it was never really an opportunity, unfortunately.
Well, the only time I flew with my mother is in this picture. This is a flying boat. It's a 10-foot dinghy with a 65 horsepower Rotax motor and a hang glider on the top. Takes off on the water, lands on the water. And so she was going to Galveston to get inducted into the Texas Aviation Hall of Fame, and on the way was Lake Conroe. So she came by and wanted to go in my ultralight. Well, it was really nasty weather, almost like this, not quite that windy. And with ultralight, it's light. So she wanted to go anyway, because, you know, this is kind of a one chance. She's 85 years old, I think, at this time. So anyway, we get out on the lake, not much takeoff run, about 10 feet with this windy weather, overcast, all this. It was a bumpy, nasty ride. But when she, and being a journalist, which she was, she just happened to have a newspaper reporter there when we came in, right? And the newspaper reporter asked her about the ride and the experience, and it was just wonderful. She loved the experience, and even though it was just beating the heck out of her up there, it was really tough. But anyway, so at 85, she went up in an ultralight and said she had a great time, but we did.
I think this is an answer to a couple of questions ago, but after the war, my mom got her instructor's license and became a flight instructor. But she didn't do very good at that job because she couldn't get enough clients because there's not very many men who wanted to have an instructor, a woman instructor. So she had to find another job. She did at the CAA and nothing like that. But I would like to say that the thing that I am most proud of her is that she shifted gears from being a WASP to from a pilot to a housewife and a mom. Because as far as I'm concerned, she said, well, I wanted to be a pilot, I did that, so now I want to have kids and be a mom, and she did that. And she did it with aplomb and quality that she did being a mom. So I'm very proud of her for being the best mom in the world.
Nice. You might have some argument with the other
I actually flew with her one time.
That was
when I was a little baby. My dad had gotten some T6s when he got out of the Air Force. And I was in the back seat with her when I was a baby. And the first thing I remember.
That's awesome. What a great memory. That's so cool. Randy's got a question. I just want to make a quick plug about aerodynamics. Aerodynamics does not work differently for men and women. It's aerodynamics are aerodynamics. I just want to clarify that. That's right.
You know, it's great hearing everybody's perspective of what we think about these WASP pilots. You know, these women joined this organization in their early 20s. I guess I wonder if they had brothers and sisters, what their brothers and sisters thought about them becoming a WASP in their 20s. We're sharing our perspective, or your perspectives. In hindsight, I wonder what their peers thought. Crazy going into that? Or did they look at it as positive or negative? Hazel had 7 brothers and sisters. I really don't know what they thought about Hazel going into the service.
Interesting. So, aunts and uncles, did they have perspectives? We'll start here with Ken.
I got one here. It's this picture right here with her dad. Her dad paid for a flight license to get to go to WASP. He didn't want to be a WASP. So then she goes home, and if you'll notice, he's got wings on that she gave him after she got away from his WASP.
Wow.
So that was it.
Yeah, that's special.
The way I remember it, I believe that her peers did not, her brothers and sisters and peers did not like the fact that she was bucking the system. She, you know, being a pilot was something that women didn't do. And so they were not resentful, but I think not completely approving.
Interesting.
My sister and I and brother lived in Texas, and the whole family's from Athens, Georgia, so we would go to Athens, Georgia every year, so I saw all my aunts and uncles every year. I don't remember that ever coming up, do you? No, it was...
Just neutral, not like positive or negative.
No, not even a thing.
Okay.
Never talked about it.
Bill?
Well, growing up, I don't remember either of my mom's sisters ever talking about her time in the WASPs. Even the one sister who was closest to us, and I saw quite often. But in talking with my mom, I was surprised how encouraging and supportive both her sisters and her parents were, because this is a big decision for her to just leave home, move to Texas from Kansas City, you know, take her savings and just to go to learn to fly. And especially knowing my grandfather, I was shocked that he supported her. But yeah, her whole family was very supportive of the whole thing and excited for her.
Jerry?
My mother had 3 sisters, and from my perspective anyway, I think the 3 sisters kind of thought, you go ahead and do that, Patsy, that's fine, we're good where we are. But I think also in the long run underneath, they all kind of pushed ahead some of that experience as well. But I think they were kind of just go where you want to go and do what you want to do.
All right, Sheldon, what question are you about to answer?
I just thought of one other thing. When my mother wanted to go get a private license, she had to have her mother sign off. And her mother was sure that she was going to die in a flight accident and wouldn't sign off. So my mother went to get my soon-to-be father, who was an airline pilot and a military pilot, to come convince her that being a private pilot was safe, and flying in a plane was safe. So her mother signed off, and then Mom, so there was a certain amount of support there. And so anyway, Mom says in her book that when it came time to sign up to be a WASP, she didn't have to have her mother's signature anymore, so she just signed that. But there was some support from the family.
Again, to recap, so the neighbor friend who had an aircraft accident and wasn't supposed to live convinced your grandmother to sign a piece of paper to let her daughter get her license. Did I get that right?
Because flying is safe, yes.
You all heard how I started the story, right? All right, on that note, we're gonna end this panel. I want to say thank you to Jerry, Bill, Sheldon, Ed, and Ken. Thank you so much. And if you have more questions or answers to Sheldon's questions, please come up and say hi. And again, thank you for all the families that you brought and the stories that you are sharing. And again, I'm going to make one more plug for Great Aunt Hazel. If anybody has stories about Hazel, there are families who still need to know more about their story. Yes?
Can I make one public service announcement?
I feel like you're going to anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad you understand. So this book, there's a lot of personal individual stories that are great. Winnie Wood wrote one, you got one on her. But this was Vera Woods interviewed as many WASPs as she could at the 50-year reunion in 1993 and photographed, and then had it available in 1994 at the Washington, D.C. convention. And I was lucky enough to buy one of these. And if you ever want to kind of get it from beginning with Jackie Cochran and love and all those things going on to the end when they close it down and their experiences in between, this is a great synopsis, has great pictures. I don't know if you can get it online or in a library, but I've read a lot of WASP books, and this impressed me the most as being the most comprehensive.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Who's the author?
Vera Wood.
Vera Woods, where is she?
We've just stocked them in the gift shop, so there'll be a mad rush. If you want Jerry to sign it,
Vera Williams, Vera Williams.
Vera Williams.
Take a look
It's
at
in the
mine
gift
when you
shop.
get done. Take a look at mine when you get done if you like. It's got signatures from a lot of WASP, and probably 40 or 50 WASP have signed it in there. So.
That's awesome. Yes, Jim Teeter. You brought it up, I'm just saying.
That particular book, I had one, and I was upset at my school. Nobody knew about the WASP, so I donated it to the library. And if you know of a library, and if the book is acceptable, whatever it is for kids, if you get one and give it to a school, these kids need to know about the WASP, right? And it's a good way to do that.
Absolutely. You guys all now have a responsibility to share the story about the WASP. Whether or not you buy the book, please, please, please make sure you share their story, the things that they did, so that little girls who want to be a pilot can see someone who looks like them and can do the thing that they are dreaming about doing. So again, thank you so much for the great questions. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and for the prep work you did ahead of time. Thank you.